So in this demo, I'm going to show how Cursor can be used with WireMock Cloud via the MCP protocol to add a new feature to an app that relies on an API that hasn't been built yet. We're going to add a to-do list widget to an existing app, and the to-do list widget is going to need a bunch of API functions for storing and retrieving and modifying to-do items. So we're going to ask Cursor to generate both the feature and to generate a mock in WireMock Cloud of the API that it needs. In a real world development situation, this workflow would help front end developers work independently of back end developers. So even if that API hadn't been built yet, they could still go ahead and build the feature. And then the mock API could be used even beyond that for future testing. So for speeding up builds, for making them more reliable, for testing sort of outside of the bounds of what the sandbox will do on demand, all that kind of thing. And a key benefit of building the mocks in WireMock Cloud rather than generating local mock code is the ability to, that mock is published, so it's immediately shared with other team members and other teams. An open API description is generated, so this means that there's a sort of authoritative statement of the design of the API, and this is useful to both consumers and the producers of the producers of the real API, who have a kind of consistent design to work to. So I'll do a quick demo now. So this is Cursor. We've got the WireMock MCP server installed, and we have this existing application that at the moment just has a weather dashboard on there, also calls some mock APIs, and we're going to add an existing an additional to-do list kind of app widget onto this page with all the supporting infrastructure that it needs, like we said. So I've pre-built a prompt that's asking Cursor to do this piece of work. So saying add a to-do list item on the page, connect it with the mock API that you've generated, all that sort of thing. So let's start this process and see what we end up with. So Cursor's just created a new mock API in WireMock Cloud via the MCP tool, and now it's generating a set of stateful stubs. So it's important here that we asked for stateful stubs so that the to-do list can be more realistic, so that data that to-do items that we add, we get back again, so that the state is stored and retrieved later. So now it's modifying the application to add the mock API that's been generated as an additional dependency, so adding its base URL to the configuration. Okay, so the Cursor agent has finished doing its work. It's given us a summary of what it's done. So let's first of all go and look in WireMock Cloud and look at the API that it's generated. So if we go and list our mock APIs, okay, so we have this to-do API at the top here. I think that's the one it's just created. We have a list of stubs here representing the different operations on the to-do list items. If we go and click into the post, we should see that it's got some state operations on it, so that's all good. And we should also be able to go and check that there is a generated open API, which there is. And finally, we can turn on the public documentation for that. And we can see some nice docs for this API. So this is great for anyone wanting to interact with this mock API, whether they're other consumers of it or whether they're the producing team wanting to actually implement this for real. So now let's go and look at the app. So now the app has got this extra tile on here, and hopefully we can interact with this and add and manipulate some to-do tasks. So let's say learn how to mock. We submit that. Okay, that's good. So it's added it to our list. Let's do the washing up, our second item. Okay, that's great. Then let's do something that will modify the state as well. So let's tick one of these as done. And then let's maybe say delete me, add a third one like that, and then click the delete button and it's gone again. Okay, so as we can see, the list is changing and responding to the inputs that we give it, rather than just using canned data. I should be able to refresh the page and I get the same data back, sort of further validating the idea that this is using actual state rather than mimicking it with canned data. But we should also be able to go into the mock API request log and check this for ourselves. So as we can see, there's all of these requests being made, and so let's take this one for instance. So this is creating that last delete me item. We can see the data that we submitted as JSON, and then also we can see this report of how the state's been updated inside WireMock Cloud when we did that. So that's pretty good evidence that WireMock Cloud is working as intended and storing and retrieving the data that we want to work with. And that's about it. We've seen how you can use a coding agent like Cursor with WireMock Cloud in order to rapidly develop an API prototype alongside the feature that uses it.